So in this video, I'm going to be talking about 3 things you need to put into consideration before buying your first property as a first-time home buyer or as a first-time property buyer. These are 3 key things you need to put into consideration. Number one is location. It is not enough to be very emotional about the property you see or a property that is being advertised to you either by a friend, an agent, a relative, or a well-wisher. You must ensure that you don't place your emotions over your sense of judgment as it relates to location. Location is the lifeline of real estate investments. Location is the lifeline of every property you would ever purchase. Number two is documentation. Many people buy properties or intend to buy properties without first of all, doing the due diligence of understanding the documentation procedure. It is very important, and this is where you need the service of a professional to help you go through the whole transaction procedure so that you don't buy a property that has issues or a property that's going to land you into problem or that's going to make you lose your asset or lose your money. That's why I usually advise my clients to employ the service of a lawyer, a real estate attorney, a property lawyer, who will help you do your legal search, who will help you look at the documents that are particular to that property. Read the documents that are already existing. Look at the clauses to ensure that these clauses are there to not just favor the person who is selling, but also favors you. It is very important you look at documents carefully. Read documents, learn to read documents, learn to ask questions about documents. And that's why it is important. It is important to always work with lawyers, whenever you want to buy properties. Don't just be emotional. I will always tell you, don't just be emotional. Be careful with property purchase, especially as it regards to the legality, the authenticity, the genuinity of properties. Document verification is very, very crucial. Number three, as a first-time home buyer or as a first-time property buyer or a first-time home buyer, you need to be very objective about the condition of the property. The condition of the property. Many people are not careful enough to pay attention to details, and that is why sometimes after the transaction they begin to regret or they begin to say things like, had I known, I wouldn't have paid for this property, or I really thought the property was was worth the value for which I bought it, and then, oh, I was cheated, I paid too much for this property and all of that. Why? Because they didn't pay attention to the details. After buying the property, they began to realize that there's a leaking roof, or the plumbing system is bad, the wiring is out of place, and the house was not actually new, it was renovated. Issues like this. You need to pay attention to details. Look at this property. There's what we call property appraisers or property valuers. These are people who will come in and look at every detail to ensure that this property that is on ground actually, is in par with the price. Because in property valuation, there's what we call the actual value and the perceived value. But you may not be able to tell because there are so many property owners who just put exorbitant prices and tell you they want to sell at those prices. But as a first-time home buyer, you cannot know the details. But you need to don't be in a rush, don't be in a hurry to just see a property once and then you pay. Have a thorough look at the property you are buying. Most times, you are only allowed to see the exterior, but insist that you have to see the interior. Take time to look at these properties in and out. Take time to look at the details. Take time to ask questions about this property. Was this property built newly or it is renovated? When was this property built? Consider the strength of the material. Consider the wiring system, the kind of material that was used in the wiring, or especially also the POP. Because there are different kinds of POP being done today. And they'll tell you something is POP and it is not POP. There's a way aesthetics are being done today, and then you pay and later realize that what you have paid for is a substandard property. So please, it is very important that you also pay attention to the condition of the property you are buying. And that's where you have to employ the service of property appraisers or property valuers who will come in, look at the essential details and then give you a professional advice. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to bringing you more highlights.